SHUV it squad, I'm going to keep the intro brief today because a lot of people are really upset with me and they probably don't want to hear me talk too much. Shout out to Salvador's Covers who requested that I review Slammiversary 2018 today. If you want to make the Hawk talk and be able to request a video, join me on Patreon. You also get access to the Hulk Hogan show. I think we're on about episode 13 now. Who knows? This is just after I stopped watching Impact, but I'm more familiar with a lot of guys on this roster at this time. Let's get into it. And if you don't like it, shut up or I'll smack you one. Cool intro to start out the show. It promotes all the feuds, and I thought it'd be lower budget than this, but it's really well produced. This is coming from the Rebel Centre in Toronto, Canada. As I said last time, being outside the Impact Zone is always good. Josh Matthews and Don Callis are on commentary tonight. I will just say, if you like ECW, this will be the show for you. The show starts out with P.T. Williams coming out with his old Team Canada theme music, so of course he gets a good reaction from the fans. It's a four-way match also featuring Phoenix, Tashi Ishimori and Johnny Impact. People think I hate smaller wrestlers, but that's simply not true. All four of these guys have interesting gimmicks, they're all in great shape and they all have different personalities. And yes, I know Impact isn't a cruiserweight, but you get my point. Match starts out with an Impact Wrestling chant to show that the crowd is awake. There's a big face-off with Ishimori and Impact who are both making their Impact returns here. The crowd are really impressed with Phoenix here. Phoenix and Impact have an awesome bouncing match on the ropes. It was great to watch, great trade-off. P.T. Williams dominates the match for a while. He's so smooth. The guys all then start flying over the top rope and it's impressive. Unfortunately, I've noticed one knock to this show already. The camera work isn't very good. Hopefully it won't ruin the experience too much. Nice tower spot here with a powerbomb into a Samoan drop. You can't take your eyes off this match for a second, I swear. I really like Phoenix, I can barely keep track of him, he's so fast. Ishimori has a lot more personality than around the time I stopped watching Impact before. I guess being the Bone Soldier in the Bullet Club helped him find a personality. All the men then start kicking each other in the face as all the wrestlers go down and the crowd erupts. It's great having a crowd that is awake and is into everything. Ishimori nails the 450, but then P.T. Williams hits him with the Canadian Destroyer. Phoenix then lands on him with the Warrior's Way. Johnny Impact then wins the match with the Starship Pain. Epic opening match. All four guys brought something to the show. It was great. A 4-star opener. It was a little bit let down by the camera angles at times. They couldn't keep up with the speed these guys were moving either. Next up, we have the OGs cutting a promo about LAX. The story here is that the older members of LAX don't like the younger guys who Conan has been backing. Something about they put a hit out on Conan. Gangster stuff. Great promo from King before the match. I wish we'd seen more of this during his DCC days. Instead he just looked like a fat cab driver. Next up is the Knockouts match. Tessa Blanchard is taking on Ali. Tessa's not been with Impact for very long at this point and it's her first pay-per-view. Ali does not like the way that Tessa's been treating the other girls on the roster. Ali starts out the match with some really awkward offense. It doesn't look good. I had my doubts about how this match would go. Tessa was absolutely battering Ali on the outside, but then Ali dives on top of her. I can't get over how strong Tessa looks. She really does look like she could beat the majority of the current Impact roster. Everything she does looks painful. Talking of things that look painful, Ali nails a Death Valley driver on the outside. Both of them then somehow manage to get back into the ring before the 10 count. This is a really hard hitting match. Ali almost pins her with the backstabber. Ali and Tessa then fight on the top and then Tessa hits a Hurricanrana that looks like it almost decapitates Ali. Tessa then misses a move from the top and Ali hits a code breaker, but Tessa rolls to the outside to avoid a pinfall. Back in the ring, Ali hits Tessa with a super kick, but Tessa kicks out again. This is such a hard hitting match. Ali then tries to hit another Death Valley driver, but Tessa fights it off with a hammerlock DDT. And it's over. That was one of the best Knockouts matches I've ever seen. As far as their matches go, it's 5-star. Moose is backstage being interviewed by the generic blonde. Moose is challenging him to the world title tonight against Austin Aries and he threatens him for a while. Sami Callihan and Eddie Edwards are fighting in the woods next. Man, Eddie seems like a completely different person here. Eddie attacked Tommy because Tommy tried to calm him down and stop him from attacking Sami Callihan. Eddie now thinks that Tommy is sleeping with his wife who has piss-coloured hair. So now they are going to fight. Not really looking forward to this one. Pretty bored of both of these guys, to be honest. These two guys hate each other apparently, but they go straight into a lockup. Just hit each other, you goons. Tommy hits a snap suplex on the outside to get some ECW chance. Eddie then eats a big trash can lid to his head as he tries to do some high flying. Eddie brings a staple gun into the match and they fight over it for a while. Eddie then tries a sunset flip, but Dreamer staples his forehead. Dreamer then hits Eddie in the head with a fake ECW belt, and Eddie looks like he's out already. He's walking around licking his blood and loving it like a maniac. Eddie then tries to take Dreamer out of a kendo stick but hits a cutter. Dreamer looks surprisingly well at this point in the match. Dreamer then stupidly goes to the top and of course Eddie catches him up there. Tommy then hits him with the low blow and then stacks him on his shoulders and hits the Death Valley driver through the chairs. Not sure how Eddie kicks out of that. Tommy then brings a a table into the ring with some lighter fluid. He can't light it though as Eddie hits him with the DDT. Eddie Edwards then hits the Boston Knee Party and pins him for the 3. The crowd all boo because they want to see someone get set on fire. Eddie Edwards seems like he's going to attack Dreamer after the match, but then he starts crying and tries to hug Dreamer, who pushes him off. Alicia Edwards then walks out and begs Eddie to shake Tommy's hand. They seem to make up and Tommy and Alicia leave. A decent match which was a bit shorter than I expected. It was enjoyable seeing Eddie Edwards playing a much different character normal. 3 stars, it was just missing something. Matt Sydal, the X Division champion, is up next talking about Brian Cage. Says he's not as unstoppable as people believe. Matt Sydal just sounds like such a nerd, and he's a heel here. He talks forever, and Brian Cage doesn't say a single word. Is he a mute or something? Matt Sydal is doing a hippie gimmick. Well, that's probably just the real him. I don't think it's really a gimmick, is it? The ref looks really familiar. Isn't that Johnny Bravo, that weird guy from Diarrhea House? Cage starts out with a standing moonsault. Cage then dumps Matt Sydal on the ring apron. Sydal does manage to get the advantage eventually. Cage then goes for a press slam, but Sydal manages to choke Cage over the top rope. Sydal then goes for a moonsault of his own, but Cage is impressive again. Cage then does a ginormous throw on Matt Sydal. Sydal then hits a powerbomb on Cage, but it looks a bit fake due to the size difference. Cage fights back with a modified pump handle slam. Sydal then misses a moonsault and then Cage almost crushes Sydal with a clothesline. Sydal then hits a lovely snapping hurricanrana which almost breaks his neck. Sydal then goes for another dive but Cage catches him in a suplex. But Sydal counters that into a pin. That was truly a thing of beauty. Matt Sydal then botches the shooting star press and Brian Cage beats him with his finisher to win the X Division title. That took the shine off an amazing match a little bit. I still think it was great though. 3.5 stars. Somewhere backstage, Aries is making fun of Moose, and he runs him down for not being a world champion. Says that it's the biggest match of Moose's career, but Aries doesn't really care about tonight. Next up, the Knockouts champion Su Yung is taking on Madison Rayne. Really weird intro package here. I don't know if it was creepy or stupid. Madison Rayne is a 5-time Knockouts champion at this point. She's small, she's slow, and she's not very good. I still think it's crazy to this day that she got as many reigns, pardon the pun, as she did. Su Yung comes out in a coffin looking a bit different to present day. I can't get over how skinny Madison is here. She's like on Angelina Love levels right now. Su Young's pallbearers walk towards the ring to distract Madison Rayne when she's on top. Madison then tries her hardest, but the crowd start cheering Su Yung as she hits a net breaker. Su puts Madison in the tree of Roe and hits a dropkick. More pallbearers then get involved in the match and Su tries to spit mist at Madison but misses and hits a pallbearer. Madison then with some weak looking offense to take Su down. Madison then hits a cutter and a raindrop. Su Yung then puts the mandible claw on Madison and the crowd start to wake up and they chant tap. Madison passes out and it's over. Yeah, that certainly wouldn't be the best match of the night here, but then again, it's a Madison Rayne match. What do you expect? I defy anyone to show me one good match from Madison Rayne, and this certainly wasn't a bad one, but it wasn't a good one either. Su Yung then picks up Madison to put her in the coffin, whilst Josh Matthews on commentary panics about his wife. Get up and stop them then, you idiot. I'm sorry for my negativity here. I've just watched the entirety of Madison Rayne's career in front of my eyes, and it wasn't fun. 2-star match, but not bad for a Madison match. LAX are backstage hyping up the street fight. It's weird seeing Homicide and Hernandez coming out to some generic rap music. It's not a bad song, it just doesn't fit them the same as the LAX music. For those of you who haven't seen Ortiz and Santana, they're a great team. The young guys are dominating the OGs early on, but the cameraman misses yet another dive. Everyone then takes some time to set up tables. Hernandez then starts no-selling some trash can shots. Hernandez then hits a massive dive over the top to take out LAX. Homicide then throws a trash can onto the outside, almost knocking out Ortiz. Santana then hits a massive throw on Homicide as everyone starts brawling up the ramp, just for Hernandez to throw someone back into the ring. They then try to do something in the corner, and Hernandez has to stand there looking a bit goofy. LAX then double team Hernandez on the ladder, and it looks really impressive, so they redeem themselves. There's so much swearing going on in this match, it just adds to the legitimacy. LAX then double team Homicide, but Hernandez breaks up the pin. Homicide then does a tope onto Santana and through a table. Not really sure who got the worst of that. Ortiz then hits the Death Valley driver on Homicide for a table in the ring. The crowd all chant one more time for the other table, but instead Hernandez runs in and does the border toss through the table. Santana then does a super kick and a cannonball on Hernandez. This is a great match here, I knew it would be. Homicide then goes for his finisher, but Conan is on the ring apron. Thumbtacks get brought in and then Homicide gets slammed into them. Santana then does a frog splash to cover Homicide for the 3. Love that match and all the guys involved. King then attacks them all, including Conan. They then spray paint the tag titles. Not sure what they wrote, it doesn't look very good, it just looks like a blob. My favourite match of the night so far, 4.5 stars. Sami Callihan versus Pentagon in a mask versus hair match next. I missed the entirety of Pentagon's time in Impact. Let me know down below, how was it? This all started because Sami tried to take Pentagon's brother's mask away from him. This is basically another hardcore match, as demonstrated by Sami crushing Pentagon with the steel chair. Sami starts throwing chairs into the ring and then the crowd chant for one more. And then Sami pretends to get another one, but instead flips them off. That made me laugh. Callahan then starts drilling 2 spikes into Pentagon as snot pours out of his nose. Ugh. They keep using the spikes on each other. Pentagon does drill a spike into Sami with a baseball bat. That looked good. The crowd erupt. They continue to spike each other until both men collapse. They then start to set chairs up and start slapping each other whilst they're sat down. They keep no-selling steel chairs and collapse again. As intense as this is, it does get a bit annoying seeing so much no-selling. Pentagon then hits a beautiful backstabber, but Sami kicks out. Pentagon then grabs Sami's arms as the crowd chant break his arm, but he plays to the crowd for too long. Dave and Jake Christ OVE then tried to get involved, but they've both got broken arms, so Pentagon fights them off with a steel chair easily. Sami then throws powder into Pentagon's eyes. Pentagon then hits the referee by mistake, and then snaps his arm. Yeah, that referee's definitely Johnny Bravo, and I can tell even more than ever, I have no interest in seeing him wrestle in a match. Pentagon then hits his finisher, but the ref is too crippled in the corner to count. Sami then hits the pile driver in a steel chair pile, and a new referee runs out to count the pin, but Pentagon kicks out. What the hell? Sami then sets up 4 chairs in the ring, but Pentagon thumbs him in the eye and hits the package pile driver. Sami kicks out of this though. How did he do that? Sami then spits at Pentagon, so Pentagon breaks his arm and then hits a package pile driver. It's over. What a match. This felt so much like the old school ECW. Sami must now have his head shaved, and that's going to happen right now. Pentagon goes to do it, but the Chris brothers run to stop it. Pentagon fights them off easily again. Phoenix then stops Sami from leaving. The masked boys then cut off Sami's greasy, filthy, bloody locks as Sami screams and cries on the entrance ramp. They properly take it all off as well. It's not a little trim, but it's done relatively quickly. That was another great contest. It got a little bit wacky at times, but still a 4-star match. Just the main event to go now. Some baseball guy comes out before the main event. He will be presenting the belt. Moose is out first. Man, I missed this theme music. Always got me hyped for a Moose match. It seems like the time is right for Moose to win his first world title. And just look at Moose attire as well. What an awesome jacket that is. Aries, by contrast, has wrestling tights on that look like they're covered in old newspapers. Austin Aries is showing off as normal, but Moose doesn't do too badly with showing off himself. Moose slaps Aries, and then on the outside Aries collapses as Moose was about to get him. It looks a bit weird. Moose is throwing Aries all over the place here. Moose then crashes into the crowd whilst Aries tries to take the count-out victory. They have a chop-off until Aries pokes Moose in the eye, so Moose retaliates by headbutting him. Moose with a big drop kick, but Aries kicks out of this. Moose then throws Aries into the corner and follows it up with a go to hell, but Aries kicks out. Aries then hits the crucifix and Moose rolls to the outside. Aries then tries to dive onto him, but Moose punches him in the face. That's the 3rd time we've seen that spot tonight, but it's funny. It's just a fist, but it looks the most effective out of the 3. Moose then hits a huge clothesline that turns Aries inside out. Moose then tries to hit another spear, but Aries counters it into the last chancery. Moose then makes the ropes. The 2 then start fighting on the ring apron, and Aries hits the Death Valley driver on the ring apron. Aries tries to get the count-out victory again. That's kind of the story of the match. Aries will take any victory he can here. Anyway, Moose makes it back into the ring, so Aries dives into him. Moose bicycle kicks Aries on the outside, and then he puts him back in the ring to finish it, but Aries pulls the ref in the way. Moose blocks the brainbuster and hits one of his own. Moose then follows it up with the running spear. And it's over. Wait, no it's not. Aries grabs the rope to break the pin. Aries tries to leave the match, but they fight on the entrance ramp. Moose then presses Aries and throws him into the crowd. It looked good, but Moose can't win the belt this way via countout, so he has to get him back in the ring. Moose then tries to get Aries, who dodges on the entrance ramp. Aries then hits a huge drop kick into the outside. Damn, and then he follows it up on the outside with a brainbuster into the floor. Aries immediately rolls straight back into the ring trying to get the count-out victory, but Moose somehow makes it in at 9. Aries immediately punts him in the head, and then Aries tries to bring the belt into the ring, but the baseball guy stops him. Moose then rolls up Aries, but he kicks out again. Aries then boots him and hits another brainbuster, and it's over. Aries is still the world champion, but damn, what a match. It had everything, and they didn't even have to use weapons. 4.5 stars, incredible. I love these 2 guys involved, and this was my match of the night. Hey Salvador's Covers, I have to ask you, how did this pay-per-view go under the radar so much? It was great. Not a single joke match or bad match on the show. The Madison Rayne one was the only slightly bad one. But wow, this show blew me away. I wish this could have been at a bigger arena though. It lacked a big fight feel setting, and they did cover the hardcore stuff a bit too much. But those are just nitpicks. I gotta say, I love everything on this show. It gets an A for me. Anyone seen better? Let me know down below in the comments. I'd be interested to see if anyone has seen anything that tops this one. And just remember, if you don't agree with me, then shove it.